And so in some ways it comes out of that, this kind of high and low culture idea. And I think it is slowly changing as far as what the kind of experimental music we're talking about now. But I think it's a real perceived differentiation on both sides. And I had sort of had this theory about why it happens. It's this idea of high and low culture, in that people who come from a classical sort of new music background see their music as serious music. This is serious music, and all that other stuff isn't serious. Usually because of the conceptual basis of how these things are done. And this is a very broad generalisation here, but people in that area can look down on everyone else because their music's serious and everything else is not serious. It's just pop or whatever. I think probably what's happened in the past is that people like where you and I come from, the sort of lower cultures, didn't care what they thought. So it sort of wasn't matter, but now, because we're getting more informed, and I'm not talking about you or me, but I'm talking about our people, are more informed about experimental music and things like that. In some ways, we're aspiring now to be serious. We want our music to be taken seriously. So we're aspiring to that. So in some ways, it's a class kind of struggle. It's a hierarchical cultural struggle. It's like a cultural struggle, I think. Whereas the people who are in the high culture part at the moment, who come out of the conservatoriums and academia, are in this really funny position where they're acknowledged as serious, but no one listens to what they do. Very broad generalisation again. Okay? Here I've got sort of layers of records. There's like 3 different records on each one, so that's like a bit of a broken one. And it's sort of got a bit of a hole in there, I don't know if you can see.
Yep.
And I'll sort of stick that on the pin in the middle, and because that's quite loose, it moves around. So the idea is to have, with these layers, as I build them up, as you'll see when the turntables start to go, it sort of causes different things to happen of their own volition. So if you put that there, so in some ways you just have to fiddle with it to get what's happening. So what this one in the middle does, because the grooves aren't straight, you can get that regular sort of scratching sound. So that's what sort of thing I'm working with there. So that's jumping from the Georgia Go 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 there to the scratch.
This is organic looping.
Yeah, that's really the basis of what I'm doing here. And when you change speeds, then it's going to have a different effect. And often it'll cause it to jump around in different ways, like that. So even there, you've got like a dynamic built in. All of a sudden, I've got quiet. And if I crank that up, and it's picking up the electronics of the turntable as well, and you can just hear the rubbing. And then I can loop that. So I can create a loop with that, keep that, and with that going over the top. So that's basically that's the basis of what I'm doing.
Right.
little white sort of lever there was designed for the heaviness of the stylus, but that's sort of been glued in as an angle. So a lot of the time that's rubbing on the vinyl, and when that rubs up here, you get like this sort of hissing sound, which is quite good if you sample it and sort of make a hissing sort of drone out of that. So that's that white lever there rubbing on the label,
which I can just get there.
That's another good sound I like to loop. So there I've got and the loop is a combination of that and that sort of sound from there that you can hear at the moment.
Right.
So you're getting a real electronic buzzing sort of noise there. That's where you get that percussive sort of sound happening there. And in a lot of ways, what I was doing here, when we were talking about improvisation before, is having like making an improvising machine. You know, a machine that I can improvise with. So I can set things up in certain ways, but I never really know what it's going to do. So what I was doing originally mostly was improvising on guitar along with what the turntables are doing. That's the handle. That's that little handle rubbing on the actual mat there. Yeah. See, it's going through the. I don't know if you can pick that up.
I can see it. Oh, don't worry, I've got it. Yeah.
So they just do shit like that. I think there's a great visual thing of seeing what's happening. You know, so that's where what I want to do with performance is make this as clear as possible. And it's a way to. It's almost in some ways like. I mean, it's not like a comparison, but it's like seeing a chamber orchestra, or you can hear classical music, but then you can see it perform. And seeing it perform is a big deal, and I think that really conveys a lot of the music. So, I mean, I've got no idea why it's doing that. That's the motor. Isn't that cool? It just does all this crazy stuff. It's cheap shit.
Yeah.
And for me, music is just part of daily life. For me, music isn't something you go off and do separately. You know, it is just part of life, and music's supposed to be about communication and you know and connecting with people. I think so.